Jimmy Kimmel looked into the camera, rolled a clip of the president gushing about his 28-year-old press secretary's lips, and asked the only question any normal workplace would ask. Does the White House have HR? That was Jimmy Kimmel's entire thesis in one line. Funny because it's true, brutal because it's obvious. The bit didn't need fancy editing or a gotcha interview. It needed Trump's own words, a studio that collectively winced, and a desk anchor who knows exactly how to turn this is not okay into a laugh you can't shake off by morning.
I woke up this morning, I'm in bed, my wife comes out of the bathroom, she's got her phone, she goes, Trump tweeted you should be fired again. I was like, oh, and then I went downstairs and made bagels for the kids. It's like, late last night, the Angry Orange posted, why does ABC fake news keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air?
If you support Jimmy Kimmel, subscribe to the channel and write one quality that you like most about Jimmy Kimmel, because we are all Jimmy Kimmel. Let's rewind 30 seconds before the laugh. The setup was simple. The president mid-gaggle on Air Force One praising Karoline Leavitt in terms better suited to a maximum cover shoot than a briefing room. He vowed he'd never replace her and marveled that her lips moved like a machine gun. Kimmel didn't oversell it. He played the quote, paused long enough for the audience to feel the secondhand embarrassment, and then slid the knife with a deadpan.
It's also sweet that even in the middle of the biggest sex scandal in the history of the American presidency, he takes precious time on the toilet to post about our show.
Does the White House have HR? The room broke because that's the one thing this White House never plans for. An adult in the building whose job is to say, sir, no. That's the moment you call exposed on live TV. Not because Kimmel uncovered a secret, but because he flattened the spin. In 2 beats, he made the power imbalance legible. A 70-something boss objectifying a 20-some subordinate on government time on a government plane. As if dignity were a suggestion and boundary training were for interns. Late night is lethal when it puts nonsense beside normal. Everyone watching can feel which side of the split screen they live on. Everyone recognizes the office guy who narrates women's bodies like it's a personality.
Said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
Far from protecting his daughter from being talked about as a sex object, he has encouraged it multiple times.
Everyone knows why HR exists. Now, to understand why Karoline Leavitt was already TV hot before Kimmel touched the clip, you need one earlier broadcast moment. June 24th, 2024, live on CNN.
Proved that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party.
Leavitt became a steady character in the news ecosystem. Fast forward to 2025, she's now the face of the briefing room, and the White House's most powerful man can't stop talking about her face. Kimmel didn't invent the storyline, he clarified it. She's not just a spinning machine. She's a 20-some being publicly objectified by the boss who hired her. And the country is supposed to pretend it's charming. Here's where Kimmel earns his keep as an editor more than a comedian. He knows the temptation is to dunk on Leavitt herself, to replay her snipes and mix in the CNN cutoff for laughs. He doesn't take the bait. He aims higher. His target is the rod.
Hollywood, where a lot of the country watched a very special episode of The White POTUS tonight. It was a night of pomposity and circumstance as Donald Trump addressed a joint session of Congress because...
A workplace culture set by the guy at the top. When Kimmel asks about HR, he's not scolding a staffer. He's indicting the manager. That's why the joke works across politics. You don't have to hate the administration to understand that a president praising a subordinate's lips like he's narrating a calendar is not governance. It's a walking HR training video. It also fits a bigger Kimmel pattern that's been brutal on Trump in 2025. Play the tape, roll the receipts, ask one normal world question. After his surprise suspension in September and quick reinstatement, Kimmel came back with a vengeance. Less thirsty for applause, more obsessed with receipts, He's been calmer than the firestorms around him.
The anti-Curtis Sliwa sentiment was shared by disgraced former New York Congressman / presidential pardonee George Santos, who wrote, "F you, Curtis Sliwa, I hate you, your dumb wife, that stupid beret of yours, and all your effing cats."
Which makes the hits land harder. And because Trump and his orbit cannot resist the urge to clap back, Kimmel's onliners keep turning into two-day stories, exactly the opposite of what any professional comm shop wants, when the boss has just said something wildly inappropriate. Important guardrail while we're here, because rumor farms love this storyline. Kimmel did not kick Karoline off his show. She's never been a guest. There was no live on-set confrontation, no walk-off, no lawsuit duet. What happened was simpler and more powerful.
This morning, President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No.
Okay, that's early. You know what?
A late-night monologue reframed the dynamic for millions of viewers by using the president's own words against his brand. In media terms, that's more devastating than an on-set scuffle. A scuffle is a clip. A frame is a habit. And once the frame lands, boss talks about the press secretary like a guy at a bar. House leadership takes a swing and calls Leavitt's rhetoric sick or demented. The story circles back to the boss who rewards it. Karoline fires back, and the culture war lights up. The story circles back to the boss who likes his press secretary most when she's a tabloid character. It's gravity. Every orbit returns to center. Here's your first nudge. If you've got a favorite Kimmel line from this week's run, HR weirdest thing I'll ever see, or the follow-up about Air Force One being Mouth Force One, drop it in the comments so we can stitch the tightest cold open for the short. Part of why this landed with such a thud in the room is that Kimmel's audience knows office life. They know uncomfortable laughter. They know why never replace her is not a compliment when it comes from the most powerful boss on earth about the youngest face on his senior staff. Turn the titles off and translate, my subordinate's looks are part of her value to me, and I'll keep her because of that. That's not mentorship. That's a billboard that says report to HR. What exactly is Karoline Leavitt's job supposed to be? In the clean version, a press secretary stands at the podium, defends policy, explains facts, and absorbs heat so the president can pretend to be above the fight. In this version, she's a prop in the president's running commentary about himself. The joke writes itself because it's not a joke. You cannot fight for credibility in the briefing room at 2 p.m. if your boss turned you into a meme at 11 a.m. Kimmel's audience doesn't need a politics lecture. They need the pause button, and he gives it to them. Now, to understand why Karoline Leavitt was already TV hot before Kimmel touched the clip, you need one earlier broadcast moment. June 24th, 2024, live on CNN. Important guardrail while we're here, because rumor farms love this storyline. Kimmel did not kick Karoline off his show. She's never been a guest. There was no live on-set confrontation, no walk-off, no lawsuit duet. What happened was simpler and more powerful.